Okay, follow the today's date, meeting of the Katuah Water Commissioners Order. Commissioners Turbuck, Robinson, Horsley present. And we'll start with public comment. Any public comment?
Nice job. At the annual meeting.
Oh,
Well,
thank you.
very impressed. To channel.
We appreciate that kind of public comment. Thank you. Okay, we have a lot to cover tonight. Let's get right into it. We're going to start with committee nominations. Traditionally, we swap chair for the year, David. This FYI. And that's one of the things on the agenda. So I'm going to make a nomination for chair. That would be Mr. David Turbuck. Sorry. Sorry to supply.
And then I have one more year and
So that would make sense, but that's not what they did to me. They threw me into the fire. Give me.
You've been doing, frankly, you're doing a fantastic job, and you're clearly digging into the details, and very impressive. Like I discussed this, so it's a plot.
My problem is working full time still. I just can't respond. Like the office needs sometimes, and so someday I may change for in the near future. So
Sure. So you made the motion, I'll second it.
you made the motion. I saw.
I made it, you seconded it. Any discussion?
Call.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman. Does he take over now?
Sure.
Take out or something.
No, go. Just raise your voice and take it out of hand.
At this meeting, or you can just?
What do we normally do? Brett?
But wait, if you.
Why don't you see you now?
I'll take the final one.
Yeah.
By victory. Give you a turn. How about,
You did it 2 years ago.
I did do it to you.
And Tom did it before that, and I did it before that.
So is there a nomination for Bob? I nominate Mark Robinson.
It's my favorite. Well, we do change it up, so I think Dave, you were on the bylaw committee this past year.
Yep.
So I guess I should do it this year.
We have a bylaw for water commission meetings, home games together.
No,
Are these these aren't official positions, are they? They just.
yeah, no, they are.
They are?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, they're committees of the district, and we have seats on them because of our exalted.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations. Do you want to make a nomination of the policy advisory committee?
I nominate Scott Horsley, policy advisory committee.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That was easy. All right. Water quality report, Chris. Guest speaker has just arrived. I believe you're going to stay for the whole meeting, so we don't need to move you up. Is that correct? That's fine. Okay. Water quality report, Mr. Superintendent, please.
All right, it's kind of for 2 months rather than one. And I'll give it to you real quick. We were pretty clear of all protocol for both April and May. We are going to be doing some new testing coming up. PFAS again for the next quarter, and I believe we might be doing sodiums again. I think we had said on quarterly sodiums, at least not that 6.
Sodium was done in March.
Okay,
And you had PFAS just done in April
we have it twice a year.
with no detects.
Correct, the last time they had fix it up,
Thanks.
everything under, below the J back. Yeah.
Chris, I have a question on the PFAS, but you're gonna say anything else about it first?
Go ahead with the question. Yeah, I'm pretty much,
Okay. So I think we should look at, which wells we're seeing the PFAS in and which wells we're seeing elevated manganese and iron, just to kind of update. It looks to me like, well number one is the one that has the highest hits, pretty, no, they're all well below 20 nanogram per liter.
We're all below 10.
They're all below, the highest one is 9.3, I believe, but there is. Is well here. Correct, and, you know, we do have this down. Amber, it does give us a better definitive information on the flow, and keep in mind, these directions are very bit. We also have a monitoring well, we can install it about here, Chris.
correct. Yes, you showed, yes, on the side. On the side and everything.
That was on 6.
I think that's on second.
This is the Eugene printing area pit there we were talking about. I don't know what else is gradient, but it's possible, what I'm trying to get to is, I don't think flow direction. This, even though this is not in here, it's possible that I can get variation in flow. Correct. So I'm just pointing out, that that's the one that's in, and that's our monitoring, that's higher. So just FYI.
I haven't looked back at it. I mean, I could but just see which PFAS it is.
Right.
Because there's different kinds of, I didn't realize that you can actually, until we were over at the airport, that they could actually tell you what is the 500 foam, what is a different kind and everything else. So I think it's the PFOA. It's not the 500 foam, it's something different.
I may just, use this for Mark Nelson here, who's here to talk about our security cyber stuff later. He's also a bit of a PFAS expert. Spoke to him, so I'll invite him to jump in on any thoughts and comments that you might have about this, but I did want to, there's something I want to get a pay attention.
Yeah.
You have any quick thoughts on what said so far?
Well, you're right, with the work that's been done in Hyannis, there's ways to kind of identify based on the composition of various PFAS compounds, if what you see in one place matches another. I actually have a couple slides that I could just show you the comparison. Okay, between the airport and the fire training as an example. But yeah, that's all.
Yeah, that would be it.
Okay, I just wanted to draw attention, the last people I had this up there, Commissioner Ross, and this up there, all fours has the iron and manganese.
Yes.
Pretty prominent, and you may remember, Little River comes down here. We talked for a while about the possibility of those land deposits. Mobilizing iron and manganese. This is one of the reasons we wanted to back out something there, so. There may be a correlation there, but.
Yeah, that's chronically been, high iron, manganese. I thought that a lot. Yeah, very close to the south.
Okay, that's all I wanted to say, unless anybody else has any questions.
Well, with your reduced demand that we're seeing regularly now, can you back off? Or not?
Right now, we're having a little bit of trouble. I can't back off at anybody. Oh. We're having trouble getting parts to fix the problems and work and stuff like that. Different pumps to keep the pH going.
Okay.
So we're down kind of one pump out the top. But yeah, when it comes down to we pump a heck of a lot less than last year. Right now, so far, we're doing our pumpage down. Yeah.
Okay, Chris, anything else on water quality or any other questions on it?
No, I'll give you a date as we do the testing and send it around.
All right, why don't we move to the superintendent's report then? I know you got some staffing things here.
Yeah, it's just, you're gonna move it, so set. Yes.
I just want to make sure they saw the pretty iron and manganese.
Yeah, you could ask, yeah. Jen put that in. Mike.
Thank you.
She's the one who made that. The little graph, you know, yeah, yeah. If you want me to hold off, you could say you wanted to talk to Mark first, or go ahead, just. No, superintendent. Okay. I'm gonna give you 2 months here, April of 2023, we pumped 10,034,000 gallons of water. In April of 2024, 7,834,000 gallons of water, or 2.2 mil less. In May, we pumped in 2023, 20,497,000 gallons of water. 2024, 11,880,000 gallons of water, or a decrease of 8,617,000 gallons. That's a drop.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I think some of these fertilization wells are making an impact. Yeah, because this is when everybody turns on, and we did, maybe you can help me, Jim, here, we have flushing going on into May last year.
I can look at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's obviously you get a little more flushing, we finished early this year, but. So we might have had a little bit of flushing involved in that last year too, but they are down. I don't think they're seeing 8 million drop.
Yeah,
So well, but if you look at the last 4 years, it goes from 16.4 to 20.9 to 17.0, 20.5. And we're still, almost cutting it in half. So, and now we're in the irrigation months, so I'm gonna declare victory and get out.
Yeah, and it hasn't been a lot of rain either. It's
On a ton. Well, you did a couple good sized storms there last month. It's just at the very end, yeah.
so maybe it's the irrigation policy kicking in finally. Well, how many private wells do we have?
82 and in the line. The 82 total are where?
82, including some of the older ones before the pause.
That's pretty.
But there weren't that many.
Yeah.
So the point is, Mr. Chair, that, we talked about, we're starting to now see that it's not just related to drought conditions and whatnot, that we're seeing consistently month over month, and now starting to be year over year decreases in the volume of water pumped, which has to be directly related to the increased rates on high volume users and more people opting out of the water supply for their irrigation purposes. So I think this is unless things change, I mean, it's a great success.
It's 42% year on year for May.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
The only thing I thought was usually our highest, we'll see how that goes for the next few months. But they usually our highest months anyways, I would see. So
The only thing we gotta watch here is the question about where we going with revenues too. Remember that was a question asked early on, so as we track this through the summer, let's also look at our building and revenues update.
So the end of June readings that we billed for in July will be the prior rates, the new rates go into effect July 1st, but I will give you a comparison earlier on what was collected.
Chris,
all right, association news, Bruce Young did stop by from Mass World, offers assistance and just talked a little bit, I think it was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Said we gave him a call, he's willing to come down and help out with anything. A lot of classes going on through doing with the Mass Water Works now, we're getting a lot of free classes through the state doing different things. We didn't have any new services. We did have one in May over on Lake Street, which was nice because we replaced one that went through somebody's yard and got it out of the easement that was there. They couldn't find a legal easement anywhere on it. So we got that fixed. Lewis Pond Road, as I stated last time, we did sign with somebody, and today we just disconnected everything. Everybody opened the new water main, disconnected the other right now. We should be clearing it out to pave on Thursday. They can't work tomorrow. So they should start some of the paving and come that and do some cleanup.
What did you do with the old line?
Left it in the ground.
Is it, I was just thinking if you had a small section, it would be a nice show and tell to show the residents
Yeah.
what a 1932 pipe looks like. or 1942.
It's surprisingly good.
Listen,
Yeah, I was really surprised when we cut it out. I do have over a 6-inch piece of it, because we actually used the pipe the back, we put blocking on it, we put a cap in there, cover the old 2-inch. And we used a couple blocks right back to the 2-inch pipe, we cut it perfect, slid it there, so that it wouldn't pop off at any point. But yeah, they're nice.
so the inside is clean.
Yeah, I don't think the gate is that clean, because they're supposed to turn 6 times, we can only get 4 turns on them, so. They might not have been the greatest, but the pieces we cut out on the stretch, I was surprised at how clear it was, how nice.
So maybe the old technology is still the best technology.
Your refrigerator from 1967 probably still running.
Circling back on the pumping, we did flush in May last year, that only 670,000 gallons
Wow.
last year, so that's
That's
very
good.
little of that, 11 million, 11 million.
I wasn't sure if Tom Kimberly was gonna be, I thought we had mentioned to him to show up to talk a little bit about his test results.
I think he's still on vacation.
Okay, well, what I'll do is I'll just ask him for the next week, and he can explain a little more, what he got out of the test results. I think I did send them around to everybody that, yeah, okay. We talked last time about some water theft that's going on in town. Where somebody had removed the water meter and got fined $1,000. They paid it without talking. Since then, we found 2 more incidents going on. I don't know if it's just because it comes in threes, but I've never seen it in I don't know how many years now. We sent out a couple more fines, and these people don't want to pay as much as the others did. They're both under construction houses where either a meter froze and they took it out and oh, I just put that piece of pipe in there to see the difference in size, so when the plumber needed to make up a connection. Like, no, it's the same size no matter what. But we're still battling with them, just wanted you to be aware that they did that 2 different spots.
So the new houses, new connections.
Renovations. One was somebody had gone over the winter. And they didn't have heat in the house, had to heat out of the house.
Do they have irrigation systems?
No, everything, the water was supposedly off. But when we got there, it was running out of both sides of the piece of pipe that they had and they were onto the ground. So it wasn't off all the way, it was pretty much on. He just called us up and said, hey, you have a frozen meter down, it's going to cost me to have a new one put in. And they didn't remove any of it, yeah. The other one was, we didn't even have a valve in, something we did just was there.
Hey, Chris, can you just explain it one more time because I'm dense on this. So, when you say theft, you mean they turn the meter off or they tampered with the meter?
Biased.
They removed the meter.
They removed the meter.
They're using water without the lines.
So is that a specific fine that we have?
By state law, in the state, yeah, you can fly without. Yeah,
For removing the meter.
basically, yeah, it's for,
So you're going to
Yeah.
fine them
correct,
under the state law, the maximum amount?
yeah.
You know, if I,
They biased.
I did not on these last 2, I did on the first.
Oh, that's where the meter's supposed to be right there. Oh, there's the meter dangling.
Mhm.
Why doesn't everybody do that?
Like Chris Philadelphia. All right, I need for you guys to vote, let us sign for the distribution of some funds from one of the PFAS litigation cases. It's just so they can release the funds, I've got to sign something that says that they can be done.
You don't know how much.
We're in 3 figures over, either a monthly or a yearly figure right now. We did also have another person, settle. So we're into, these are, 2 of them, DuPont and Brianna.
Yeah, so just to explain a little bit more, we signed on as water commissioners to a class action suit against the manufacturers of this PFAS PFOA stuff, chemical. And so it didn't cost the district any going to sue. We simply get a slice when the company settled with the attorneys who bring the suit on behalf of all these water districts all over the country, really.
Correct.
So we got a slice of whatever millions and billions we pay out. Because I'm sure these companies don't want to go to court with all sorts of thousands and thousands of people.
I could talk to them again about it, he just called and said that they want to get everything done by the 20th of July, I think it is, he wants to get it in there as soon as possible, get all the pieces together. So this is just two of the people that have said, like I said, you want to preempt, there's still something else about the Tyco. And another one that just did also this. I think it's a manufacturer of actual foam that they're suing also. So, they're on the fourth different person that's gone through something. I'd be like, any other gas stuff over the manufacturer's side. So if I could get the okay to sign on that, then if he asks again, we can go ahead, I'll need a vote, so we can send this,
This to sign.
You feel comfortable that you can sign, we don't have to.
yeah, I'm gonna have.
And so that allows you to sign to receive the payments.
Correct, and release the funds,
And
yeah,
then the funds go away.
and the refunds will come to a fire check, when the check comes to the consent.
I know that we, grant Superintendent Wiseman signatory authority to receive the settlement funds.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you. Last thing I have on here is, I think I have informed about everybody about our W-2s being a little messed up.
Yeah.
It's between the way it goes. Is it Ray, or they told us he was getting new ones back? It affects the fire department and the water, department. Anybody that's in the retired hospital kind of retirement that they pay, it affects. We do not take, federal taxes. State taxes out of, the state wages is higher, it's all the time, because of the way that you can claim state taxes on them already, that's where it's up. So you can claim your social security or your retirement. So it's not included with the federal, but it is included with the state. They didn't include it this year, so everybody got money back and they weren't supposed to. So now it's gonna cost everybody a little bit of money to redo their taxes and make sure it's done right. Ray told me the night we talked here at the pension committee meeting that the district wasn't gonna pay for that, paycheck was, if there was something wrong, paychecks was gonna fix it. He told us afterwards, it took a little while. It's been going on since April 11th, I think, or 14th, that we notified first. He said it's gonna be the middle of July before the tax attorney will get back to him and give him a legal opinion, because they're so busy right now. First, he told us that he had instructed Paychecks to redo the W-2s, doing right. Then a week later, he came back and said, they got in touch with a lawyer to take us on, and he says, we can't look at it till the middle of July. Asked what about the redoing the check, actually canceled that, I told him not to redo it.
So
Until I get a legal opinion.
So the district hired an attorney to go after paychecks.
Correct.
Paychecks wouldn't do
No.
it.
No, they hired an attorney to give them an opinion of Paychecks. Paychecks is saying they've done it right. Everybody else is saying that it's wrong. Any other organization you talk to says it's wrong. It's just, they're just scamming and saying, no, I was right, no way.
Including.
If you want a new one, just tell us, we'll do it the other way, wrong. But then it comes back to us, and now we get like, Matt was the one that noticed this. And Matt hasn't done his taxes, so now he's gonna have to pay a penalty for lateness, or because his accountant's the one found it, his tax return. His accountant said, you know what, it's wrong. And it's the only one, probably the last one in town to do it. Keep around and
So what's your recommendation, Chris?
it's more of just, I'm trying to keep you guys aware that it's still going on, it's still a really pain in the side of the, a couple of my employees especially.
Yeah. Is there anything?
and we'd like it to be over with, but I don't think there's anything they can do that's gonna push it any faster.
Is there anything you'd like us to?
At this point, no, but I want to be available if I do.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah,
I just
now we've discussed it, you understand what's out there. I might call to whoever the chairman is at the
Well,
time.
just
and
make
say,
that easier.
Yeah.
Any favor you.
We even reached out to the taxpayer advocate for the state. Who has said
That's a frustrating
that it
situation.
is.
Yeah.
it is.
Well, I mean, the
I don't-
costs, if your staff are incurring costs of this, they should get reimbursed.
Yes,
Right, that's what I told us. I don't think it's right that we should have to pay for something in the state, and, you know, and if we have to redo our taxes.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be a penalty there, if we're wrong, too.
So we'll make sure that gets covered somehow. But let us know. It's another act and it was Goudreau or something like that.
Okay, yeah, we have to, okay.
All right, so you still got staffing on here? On your report?
It just put a staffing update in the annual.
Yes,
Okay.
we got about 80, we had our employee that we just hired, had to leave abruptly, basically, he had to move up. And he gave us his notice the day he left, and said, I'll stick around for as long as I can. I said, okay. He probably stayed around 3 weeks, about a week into it, that's it, now he's gone now, it's just, when we put out an ad, I think we got 8. With probably 2 that are probably, you know, keeping, close enough to have that, so we got some from Yarmouth, some Chatham, you know, people that, I don't know if they're gonna relocate or not. But I might be able to do a few interviews, but I'm not gonna just settle. If we have to go back out, I can go back out another again. I don't want this to keep happening.
Were these two have any experience at all or?
No.
So they have to go through a full training.
Correct.
Did you talk to Con? Is
Yeah.
it the same person that they're trying to hire? Are we competing with Con for this person?
I haven't touched. Last time I called him, he asked me if I had anybody he could take, so.
How about we go the other way?
Yeah, exactly.
But I just wonder if, you know, if the salaries are better than.
Yeah, he was offering 19 to 23. I think Jen said we hired at 22, was it? Yeah.
He was-
Last year, it's 22, yeah. So we are right there.
Good too, it's nicer.
What I would say.
what does it cost us to train and get them licensed?
I think it's like $400 for the class, $400 to $600 for the class, and another, I think it's $200 for the application.
It's a cost of doing business, Dave, you know,
Yeah.
occasionally if we hire somebody from another district, they pay to hire and train that person. So
Right.
that's it.
All right, Chris, let's keep going. So good luck with that.
Yeah, as far as I can see on there, we did get an annual bid also, we went out to concerns the sidelines.
Yep.
And it's in our packet there. Will be probably 8th year in a row, it's like Waterloo Construction was the low bidder. They've been doing it, I would suggest that we accept their bid. Jen did check with all the math and make sure everything is okay.
And quality of work and responsiveness is good.
Like I said, they've been doing it for 11 years in a row now.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the bid?
I move that we accept the bid of Bortolatti Construction for service connections to sideline, connections from sideline building and emergency repairs for the year of July 17, 2024 through July 16, 2025.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Could you sign the award letter and I'll sign them tomorrow? Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you, Chris.
All right, that's good. Thank you, Jim.
So we're gonna move on to whole business, and our first item is cybersecurity briefing. And I believe this was Commissioner Robinson's question, so do you want to intro this?
Well, just because I think, again, we as commissioners need to be educated, but also we need to educate our citizens about What is the Katuah Water Department doing about cybersecurity? We hear about things in the media, like in Florida, where somebody got hacked and they poured chemicals into the water supply remotely. You had some other examples. Media, which is-
Well, you know, just that the warnings coming out of the Department of Homeland Security are terrifying.
So anyway, we have a computerized SCADA system, but I'm not sure if that's everything that we need and or could be done to
And we have a contract,
insulate ourselves.
okay, and we have a contract with the firm doing some of this work.
Yeah, they've been doing a skating work, they install, and do it, and they install.
But I also know that our good friend, Mr. Nelson, does this around the United States. Right? Or as you have done some of this work.
Yeah.
So we wanted to ask you to come in and
Yeah, you want to show some slides, correct?
So I have a few slides, but
Can we show them without the connection?
So I'm not able to connect Bluetooth and I have to be connected to the owl, but we do have an HDMI cable. If you have it on your laptop to connect.
yeah.
You want to try that? It can't be connected to two places.
Hey, just to, let the book, my wife did give me an article last week that, yeah. We're making a lower than standards to well.
of course. Yeah, big money involved.
They gotta pay their fine somehow.
And not to be a cynic, but if we get an impression, these limits have had to get rescinded.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, look at the clean power agenda and the skull. The previous administration came.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sure those are gonna go.
Why? It just doesn't work again, yeah.
Still once in the building?
There's supposed to be Wi-Fi, yeah.
We do have one.
It looks like it's right.
Okay, good. There's HDMI too.
Just put everything on post-it.
Yeah, there's somebody. Can look this thing.
I'll see what I have.
Just try it one day.
Right. I want to have some. We can try and then it's something to do now.
This is the audio visual of the sixth grade for some film strips.
I remember that. Hang on 1 second, I must be able to fix it to my to duplicate my screen.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. They bounced my slides on my candidate slide too. So the
No, Dave shut down.
fix was in it. Well, we're back to that. So, well, just tell us all.
Only small group here. Laptop on the table, inviting you guys up here. They're right over here, maybe you can see it. Or try that.
Sorry, Mark.
Would you like to join us up here?
Intuit thinks it's in the 21st century, but it's not real.
Of course, they make laptops very small these days, don't they?
A little farther back, I think it's straight. Yeah, that's good.
So I'm happy to talk about this, but want to make sure I'm answering the questions you guys have, so I can give a brief overview, but let's make this as useful as possible with, questions you've got as we go. And then, as I mentioned, I have a couple slides just showing this way of identifying sources of PFAS contamination a little bit, just to be able to kind of say, oh, if I've seen it here and I see it here, did it come from here to there? And we can talk about that a little bit. So some of these might be a little bit small, but this is kind of the history that leads to cybersecurity stuff, just the change in who are the threats to us from, like, the weapons have changed quite a bit. So now it's someone that can understand an HDMI cable is a bigger problem than many other people. And that's been an issue with water systems around the way. And a lot of it is we're all connected in many different ways to the internet, which allows a lot of people to come in. And in many ways, it's not that different from worrying about your bank account or your credit card, or, in our family, what your father-in-law is answering on the phone, things like that. It's recognizing that, we have the SCADA systems, we have electronic bill payment methods, and you want to be careful with those, and you want to be alert to what the potential threats are and what that could do. And the other real part is part of an emergency response plan, how you're going to respond to it. And I know you've got a consultant coming in that can help you work through that, and I think that's great. And but the SCADA allows people to manage a water system from home, from Starbucks, from many different places. And the big threat with that has been, people taking advantage of that. And I think this has improved over the last 8 to 10 years that we've been doing this cybersecurity, but also just, recognizing how important it is to be cautious with that. Go ahead.
Well, just SCADA is an acronym. I don't know or care what it stands for.
Supervisory control of data.
Hey, pretty good.
And my question.
But the point is that it's a software,
Yeah, it's a remote monitoring system.
and in Katuitt, it enables us to sit at the office, or Chris at his home can check on the wells if there's a problem with the pumps.
No, there's a lot of benefits to it, because you don't have to be at a physical, service board working through things. You can respond to an issue that's come up, like a power outage or, a breakdown. You can deal with it right then. And you're not driving 20 minutes to deal with it.
So Mark, maybe getting to this, my question is, what's the threat of somebody hacking into that? What can they do? Could they change the pumping of the well? Could they?
It can be a variety of different things, and we'll get into that a little bit here. And it's a variety of different people that may do it. Experience has shown it could be a disgruntled former employee, could be a more national attack on different things. So it all plays out here, and it can, ransomware. You may have to pay your way to get your equipment back and things like that. So it can vary. And, there's a variety of, some of these are small and we probably don't need to do them, but this is kind of interesting because someone set up an online portal saying, this is my SCADA system, to see what would happen with it. And they got, in a month, 39 attacks from 14 different countries trying to hack that SCADA system. So some were targeted, some were automated. So it comes from a variety of different approaches
So
here.
if I was a hacker, I would say, well, I can do the most damage going after New York City, but they probably have lots of firewalls. Whereas this little dinky Katuitt, I could probably get in there, no problem, and charge them $1 million to get me out of there.
I thought I had one other slide that kind of, but I guess, sorry.
It's exactly.
Can you overview that? What are that's what my question is, consequences. What could be?
Yeah. So, different folks have had different threats. And sometimes they'll come in and they'll take over the chemical controls. So water systems have had the chlorine heightened to an incredibly high degree. Others have had the acid neutralization chemical, and I'm spacing on what that is, the nitrate.
Yeah. Compound uses it,
Sodium hypochlorite.
Sodium hypochlorite, they can come in and just overflow the system with that and make the pH of the water go not to 7, but like to 11 or 12 or something, and create a real problem.
right, and we use the lime system, but the potassium that Tom uses can actually poison if you overflow it too much.
Right. So that can happen, and a lot of these have been caught pretty quickly. Sometimes it's happened where someone's, watching the monitors and seeing the flow rate go way up and wondering who's doing that, and they're able to put it on manual and stop it and bring it back down and make some of that stuff get a little bit better. But it could be ransomware. You can disrupt, you can turn it off. People lose water for a while and things like that. So it can all be, a little bit different. There have been ransomware attacks where the system shut down and you got to buy your way back to controlling it again.
Like hospitals have paid that. You told me what the most common password was.
Yeah, password. And I think that's changing, but our company worked with EPA about 8 years ago to do a cyber investigation, not investigation, but to assess the cyber quals of most of the major water systems in the state of Virginia. And it was interesting because I think it was like 60% SCADA systems, the password was password. And this is back before this was a more known issue to people. I mean, you get a lot of information from most online services now about the strength of a password, and that didn't exist in the past. So people could hack in pretty easily and take over things. And if it's someone that's frustrated that used to work there, I'm not saying that's an issue here by any means, but they know the way in and they can make things take place. So it's being smart with that kind of stuff. Have a password that's 8 or 10 pieces,
How often should you
characters
change
or not. You should change it fairly regularly. Probably change it as people come and go, just to, not as I'm scared of you, but it's a standardized practice.
We use a service to get in with our phones. That's the only way the guys get into there unless they're at the office itself.
Yeah.
That's the only way to get in. I won't say which one it is, but it gets changed. Like the password to get into it changes constantly. And they have their own code to get at each individual person, so who's in there at the time doing it. And we just, like I said earlier, we just let a guy go last Friday. And my first phone call was to the SCADA company, get him out as of 4:30 tonight, boom.
Yeah.
He's gone, make sure we can't get into anything. And Jim called down the house, don't get on that account too.
We visit each well every day.
Yes.
I mean, physically, we go there. And
Yes.
Yeah, so there's, that physical security is pretty straightforward, and water systems have been working with that for the last 24 years, 23 years, because right after 9/11, a lot of that work kicked in. And the cybersecurity is happened more recently, and there was, a recent cybersecurity component, the American Water Infrastructure Act, that applies to larger water systems, but required the addition of this into emergency response plans, both on how you assess the threat and how you respond to it. And, I put this in here basically just because it talks about the components for doing an assessment, the risk assessment of what you'd be looking at. So your automated systems and the security with those, how you monitor those, and then the financial infrastructure of the system as well. So, that's pretty straightforward stuff. It sounds like from what you're saying, because this is happening already.
New online billing we approved last year, Jeff.
Mhm.
And is that secure through our office or through the district office?
So it's a cloud-based solution, so there's security both with our firewall and with UniLink's security profile.
And that's probably a separate system from the system management of the water utility itself. And not having those linked can be very smart as well. And then it's just recognizing, you know, what goes into your emergency response plan. You know, how do you deal with somebody coming after you? Because if it's getting weird and you get stressed in an emergency, it's nice to be able to say, okay, A, B, C, D, these are the steps I'm going to take. And it can really help with that. And then, you know, how you can detect them, and then how you report them to law enforcement to make sure that people are being tracked and that that's working out as well.
What do you call it? Do you call the FBI or police?
You can call both. You start with the police. The FBI really tracks this as well. The National Security Agency is also part of it. And then I just thought I'd give you a couple different resources, and I can send you this presentation so you have some of these links too. But the Water ISIC, are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
It's a kind of a secure source of information for water systems looking at security issues. So you can go online there, you have to sign in as a water department or an employee of the water department. And if there's something going on in the country, you can be alerted to it. So there's been a rash of hacks and things like that. You should be alert to it. Or it gets into storm events and, you know, who's offering aid in an emergency response and things like that. So it's like
We have this. Chris, we have this. I believe so.
You're aware.
I will check again, because the last time I took a class probably about 2 years ago. And it was informal, and I'm not sure then if they said that you could go on and join anything, and if they did, I would have joined then, but I haven't got anything for all except for classes. Every once in a while, I'll get some classes.
Yeah, and they'll provide notices to people. That's not all public knowledge. You have to be accepted into the group to get that information.
I have to ask you, you know, we're talking about cybersecurity and everything, probably last week, I got a phone call from somebody on my phone, introduced himself as Paul Tassie, I think it was. And he said, I'm from Homeland Security. He says, I'm gonna send you some information to give classes. I work for them, but these are free classes and free different things and everything else. It's all right. So send everything. He sent it to me. I looked at it. I didn't open anything. I just looked and saw everything on there. I went down to the end. He has CISA something home HC. Anyway, on there HSA or something like that, and then done something afterwards, and I was like, huh. So I just put it to the side. And just tonight before we were going, I was doing something. I looked down. It's like 5 things in my junk file. I haven't cleaned my junk file out in a while. One of them was a scam alert on there for someone that's claiming to be Homeland Security. And I'm like, well, I can take his number with my phone, I know, and everything else. I'm gonna check it out tomorrow. I'm gonna call and find out. It was some guy that pretended to be. I don't know why. Yeah, I think he was called and was trying to sell something like this. Paul Tassie, TASSY, Waterlock.
Weird.
That was,
No,
it's
and
funny you mentioned it, and I was, I just saw it before I came here. Ooh.
no, and
It came in the day
it
after.
affects every industry.
Yeah.
I mean, the 9/11 system went down today. Was that a hack? Well,
Yeah.
I haven't heard any news, but it's
Everybody got that on their alert. Okay?
yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
We're in a conference with 100 people that all got the beeps.
Yeah.
So,
We had a guy, we were at a workshop today, and the guy was doing a presentation from Vermont. He got it.
I bet you watch the national news tonight. We'll be talking about
yeah.
nationwide hack with the 911 system.
And there's some EPA resources too. They've got some like checklists you can work on to update your emergency response plan, and your consultant will probably work this through with you as well. American Water Works Association has a bunch of information in this area as well. Department of Homeland Security has information on how to do some of the cybersecurity assessments and work those through. And, you know, you mentioned CISA with
Yeah.
Homeland Security, this is the potential fraud you were getting right here. So there's a lot of options, and then the reporting, you know, the FBI field office, calling your local police, you know, is worthwhile as well. I would start with that and then go to the FBI because they'll be tracking you to other people and informing
If you call the
everybody else.
Barnstable PD, they know all these places.
It's a good question. And, you know, that is really the next slide here is, as you develop your plan, have someone work you through an exercise, the people that would be involved in an event to do a tabletop exercise or a drill where you actually practice this stuff. And EPA has resources, we've helped develop some of them to set up a tabletop exercise. They can give you the, you know, the scenario and the, you know, you can have someone facilitate it. And it's designed to be stress-free because it's not supposed to be the event as it's happening, but it's people sitting in this room or in the office and saying, okay, have someone lead it. Here's the first thing that happened. How are you going to address that? And people can say, okay, our plan says this, but wait a minute, we really should have thought of that. And it gives you the chance to update that and make things, you know, work for you. And it lets your brain work through the process in practice to make it better if it actually happens. And people will do that tabletop exercise. Sometimes people will do a more functional thing where you'll set up an event and people are at their desk or working on SCADA from home, and you have to have them test through everything and do some of that. And, you know, EPA sponsors some of those workshops at different times. One other thing I was going to mention is EPA, and we work with them on this, will do a consult with a water department on cybersecurity. And I know you have someone working with you right now, but maybe when that's done, you could ask EPA to kind of do a peer review of it for you and give you a sense like, yeah, they did a good job, or this works well, but this is a new thing you should think of adding, or something like that. So those assessments can be helpful because they're really pushing this across the water industry right now because it's been so important.
So when I got hacked at my office computer, called my IT guy, and he said, "Don't do anything. In fact, unplug your machine." So I plugged it from the wall because they were already in.
Yeah.
And doing stuff, moving things around, and it was terrible.
Stealing land.
Well, and so anyway, but can we unplug the SCADA if we have to? Can we go back and do something manual if we have to?
I could do some fiber optics, but always unplug it if we had to.
You've got the experience and know-how to run it manual. A lot of new guys.
Yeah, and that would be part of your assessment that you're doing, because if something's going wrong, you should shut off the wire connections and operate it manually. So the SCADA is no longer part of it while you solve the problem. And it should be set up that way. Most systems are, but having that be part of the assessment and part of the training for people can be very useful as well.
Right. I have a two-part question. The first part goes to you, the second part probably goes to you, Chris, and that is, in knowing our size and operation here, what would you view as the greatest threat to us? And the second part is, do you know of anybody else in the cave, anything this has happened to, anything like this?
Not on the Cape, but I mean, I've heard around, we always get somebody someplace else that's happened, and I remember during the Super Bowl 4 or 5 years ago, they hacked down in Florida, something like that.
Yeah.
Shut the whole place, really water out again. Okay, so I mean, there's people out there, but then there's a lot of smaller ones where, I haven't heard unless you have somebody on the Cape itself, but I believe there's been something in Massachusetts.
Yeah, and I'm not aware of anything on the Cape.
Yeah.
I think part of it is, if people are out doing this and they're sniffing around, it's who they find online and how easily they can get in. So, you know, if you're If it's like a terrorist type of thing, they're gonna be looking to affect a bigger population. But people just hacking for fun, I hate to say it that way, but people just out there that are playing this way. Any size system, there's some level of threat. And it's just being prepared that if it's operating and you're not in control of it, you want to shut down the SCADA, take over control, see what the water quality issues might have been or the water source issues might have been, and play that out.
We would be more susceptible to an employee that came in to the building or something like that. I don't think, unless I expect to call somebody and tell them to give them off. I don't see a way that they get in unless they actually walk into the building and said, I know how to use that computer. And you go over and do anything on it. So it's more like not cyber, it's more like just going in and then physically doing it, no,
No, we contract with a provider that manages SCADA. Is that Secure Networks, name of the company?
Secure Networks is our network and IT provider, but EDR is our support.
Yeah.
Since I skated.
They're the ones that are doing the assessment, EDI.
Yeah, EDI is the one that's doing it. They're actually based out of New York. But they just opened the office in Hyannis. I don't know if you've heard of them yet.
No, this is
They used to be, it's the crew used to be GHD.
okay.
And they all left GHD and approached the CDR and said, I would love to farm around it. EDR came through GHD because they didn't have a SCADA unit down here. So they brought these guys in and then they decided to go on their own. They took the entire SCADA guys and went on their own from was GHD and went to EDR. And since they had built it originally, I ended up going to EDR. And a lot of us remote. These guys, any of them can get in and work on my system. So that's why I have to do it. Maybe you guys are the ones that know it inside out. Built it. So, yeah.
Mark, I appreciate you doing this. One follow-up I see is when we get the plan done.
Yeah.
I think Mark's suggestion, EPA might do a quick audit or something.
Yeah, no, I was gonna ask you to send, I'm gonna give you my email on here.
Yeah.
Just send me what you got there too, I'd rather be able to see it a little better, read it a little.
I know, and yeah. And then, any other questions on the cybersecurity?
I just really appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
This has been on my mind since I read about it in the newspaper, other places. I continue to be impressed by all the things that keeps this guy up at night, or should. Yeah, not just rising sodium levels, but all sorts of things that can go wrong with water.
I'll tell you a very quick story. It's probably right after 9/11. I had a student at Tufts who was from Central America, but he kind of looked Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
And my students do papers on water, right? So I'm sitting in my office in Sandwich one day and I get a call from the Medford Police Department. I'm thinking like, oh, where did I park my car?
Yeah.
We have a gentleman by the name of blah, blah, blah here, and he claims he wanted a water distribution map of our system, and he claims to know you, when I'm thinking really quick, what's going on? So, really profile.
Yeah.
It looked like in,
Wow.
way after 9/11, yeah, they pulled him into the police station.
Wow.
So I expected to get him on the jail essentially. Oh, man. So they were pretty, after 9/11, they were pretty, this is when all this stuff started, right?
Yeah, no, it all started right after, and a lot of it was, physical security for the utilities was a big deal, and prevention of pollution and things. And now the cyber stuff has just become such a big deal in all walks of life that it's important for utilities to be alert to it and realize the risks that it has. And having it in the emergency response plan is great, and tying it into trainings on the emergency response plans, because a hurricane could be a bigger issue to it, but you got to be ready for both. So
SCADA, a brand name of a security system.
it's just an acronym for the electronics
Versions of SCADA.
Yeah.
It's used in industrial control environments, and it's very popular with terrorist groups that want to open valves, like open up sluice gates, dams, or valves. And
Or doors on Boeings, I don't know, but.
Right.
Right.
But it gives you the remote control of the mechanical device. And the NSA and the CIA and everyone is very attuned to known exploits that can need to be patched. And that's why I asked about our service provider, because we're only as good as patches and whether we stay up to date. And what they do is they search for unpatched systems and then jump on. So that's one way they get you, but not today. Very different from someone who's going after cash, who's gonna lock us out of the billing systems or take over some other system and say, you can't have it back until they need to ransom. And that's a whole other thing that we should probably have a discussion on this. If that happened in theory, will we pay it?
Guess it depends on the specifics of it, but,
Yes,
Mark,
I want you to.
thanks for this. If you're gonna hang for the next item, you're gonna talk about PFAS next.
Yeah,
So
How about-
I think I said, I mean, just tie into the agenda here, I was gonna just skip, actually, the next thing is the PFAS, and I, kind of already outlined what I think as I told you, we haven't violated any standard, we meet our standards, but we are finding it, which most people are in our water supplies. So I just wanted to see if we could think about a process to drill down on this a little bit, because I'm interested in the fact that one monitoring well is at 16. That's not super high, but Mark also informed me that we do find above 20 that triggers 40. So.
Yes.
Did you say spread it to 15?
No, it's not in there, but in the monitoring well, but
That's combined.
I'm sorry.
Those are combined. See in
The sum of six.
about six. Yeah.
16 is not, 16 is not here though, that was a different.
No, that
We
was
sent it as an email.
Yeah, that was in the testing of the test well.
Yes,
But these that are here are the combined six of that 9.6 that you see,
Yeah.
9.3. That could be, a 6 out of one of the six. 6 different ones. It's the PFOA, PFAS.
yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you, but the 6 that they have, that's combined of the 6, so there might be 3 different times.
Yeah. Mark, why don't you just show us?
Yeah, so I can, a couple of introductory thoughts, and then I'll show you this Hyannis example. The PFAS is in a variety of things. I know you're well aware of that, and it's in, I'm sure if we looked around this room for a while, we find it in a variety of things. Probably that HDMI cable that didn't work has in it. And it will get into wastewater, it'll get into the aquifer. The production of this has got it in the atmosphere and it's coming down that way. There's been some recent studies that have really looked at, okay, if it enters the ground, like if you spray foam on the ground or you have a septic system, how long does it take to reach the aquifer? And it is fairly slow because it does bind pretty well with the organic material in the shallower soils. And a study done at Otis at their Air Force Base, where they have the fire training academy, they showed that it took between, I think it was 25 to 30 years for the foam impact to reach groundwater. And then it started flowing south. And now it foams up in the waves on the Shumat Pond and stuff like that. And at the airport in Hyannis, excuse me, our studies, they started, it took close to 20 years from when they were spraying in one area for their required testing of their equipment for it to reach groundwater. And we've got, good information that shows that. So for an average septic system with a smaller concentration, it's going to take a while for that to enter the aquifer.
But we talked about this, but one question I have been thinking about it is the 2 examples you gave, the firefighting, it's on the surface of the land. The organic soil can cave to the upper 1 or 2 feet.
Right.
All the septics are at least 3-4 feet down.
True.
So isn't
And
that,
part of it is the fact that you've got organic material in the septic tank itself.
That's
So, you know, that study showing it taking slower is more of the superficial stuff. I'm translating it a little bit to the septics, but I think there's more research that would have to be done with that. So this slide does very poorly on this screen, but here's the airport. You can see the runways.
Yep.
The airport rotary is like right here. The town's drinking water wells, 3 of them, the Mar well field is here. They also have drinking water wells up near Mary Dunn Pond up here. So, and you can't see the plume lines on here, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But 2 sources, the airport has an area right here, we call it the deployment area, where every 2 years they have to perform an exercise and spray foam. And they do it in the same spot. They only do it every 2 years. For a while, every 1 year, they had to test the fire truck for FAA regulations, so they would spray it right there too. They've given that up and they have a tanker that they spray into. And they don't even use foam, they just show that the foam system works. In doing that, they actually found that the valve on the foam tank had a little leak. And that created where they would clean the hoses. It created a separate release area at the airport, which is much less significant, but a small leak in the valve on the fire truck was a reportable release to DEP. So it's insane.
Yeah.
And then we have the fire training academy that's up to the north of the airport here. And
That's the county's fire.
that's the county fire training academy that's been spraying these foams since they became in existence in the late 1960s or so. And we've been able to map the plume from the airport source to the drinking water wells. And we have information on the plume from the fire training academy coming to the same wells. And there's actually information with this mapping because we did a lot of testing in other areas too, and we found the PFAS. And there's pretty good scientific evidence that the fire training academy sprayed foam. It went to the Hyannis drinking water wells. They used it. It went to the sewers. It went to the wastewater treatment plant, and that same signature is coming back to the wells. And here's the interesting thing with this is how you can graph out the data of the different compounds that are PFAS compounds. So there's a sum of 6, but these were done using data where you would get a test for, I think it was 31 different PFAS chemicals in the standard test. And we would do a relative percentage of each fingerprint. Yeah, a fingerprint, a relative percentage. So like here, this is the airport source. It's groundwater sample taken right below that deployment area where their foam was sprayed. And this is a 6,2 fluorotelmer is like 95% of the PFAS compounds. And frankly, it's not one of the regulated sum of 6 right now, but that's why you want to get all the different compounds in the mix. And then you can compare that to these 2, which are the fire training academy signatures, and PFAS is like 98, 99%.
Because
their
they
foam.
use different foams.
They've historically used different foams. The FAA has a very specific foam that airports must use, and it's got that 6,2 fluorotelmer.
Can I just ask at this point, do you know if we're getting the individual testing that Mark is talking? We're not.
Well, I mean, we are testing 31. When we do the test, there are like 31 different stuff. I mean, if you want to tell us if it was there or not.
That's what I'm wondering. If we have the data, if somebody were able to look at it.
Yeah, I might be able to send you the Excel form that helps develop this, so you could put it in and create these graphs. Because to look at that monitoring well you're talking about, and look at your drinking water well,
Yeah.
you know, how close do they look? The other
I
interesting.
don't know if the new one, what was it found out to be? And I might be able to tell you a little more if it's the PFAS or
So
people.
could we, sorry to interrupt, but this is interesting to me. Could we, do we think we have the data that we could give to somebody like Mark or Tom to look at to try to do this fingerprinting?
I'll have to see, yeah, I mean, we have results.
Just something
If you get,
quickly-
if you have the lab results with the compounds, the
Yeah.
31 compounds, this can be generated.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's 31, but they
But
tested it.
It might be
It's the
21.
standard.
could be wrong.
Yeah, it might be 21, yeah, I think it's the standard.
I would suggest that we do.
Yeah, I have it from the beginning to end, yeah. When the state actually did it first, I did it, but the state gave us the bottles.
Because if we could match that 16 one in the well, I'd want to do more work.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean, yeah, if you're saying that, yeah, it's that.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
I have to ask
So-
Tom when he gets back, he
Okay,
has,
yeah.
So, you know, you have two plumes heading to the same drinking water source. There's been a lot of discussion over the last 3 years about who's responsible for the risk to those drinking water wells. The town spent, or Hyannis spent $11 million building the treatment plant for the Mar well field. And you can compare,
Susan, that treatment plant, it's just dealing with PFAS, it's not dealing with any other.
well, it's activated carbon, and they had to do a green sand filter for iron and manganese to remove that so the carbon could
Yeah.
handle the PFAS. So it's treating a lot of different things. And so here's the chemical signature of PFAS in one of the 3 drinking water wells. And here's the airport, and here's the fire training academy. So, you know, it gives you a sense of the contribution of the different sources. And it's pretty clear that right now, the Mar well field #1 is being impacted by the fire training academy. And this has been peer reviewed by Battelle Labs and other people in DEP. And then the well right next to it, which is literally like 100 feet away, 50 to 100 feet away. This was 4 years ago, 2020, it really matched the fire training academy signature. But then and we were mapping the migration of the plume from the airport, and in 2022, you can see it's a combination there. And based on the change in concentrations and the relative flow of water from both areas, the airport arranged a deal with the town to pay their percentage of the overall impact on the treatment plant for the Mar well field. And it was, I think, like 9 to 10% of the overall impact. Because it wasn't hitting all the wells and it wasn't the overall source in all the wells. And yeah, that was, you know, kind of gives you a sense, and it's
Cutting edge stuff.
it's
Yeah.
very helpful
Yeah.
to solve those arguments or identify a source, because they can be very confusing. I mean, was there a fire on a road in the area of that monitoring well that required foam 20 years ago?
yeah, again,
And
yeah.
You have any idea what a printing shop would use
Blue jeans printing.
PFAS for?
Carbon paper.
And use it for stuff to make it not stick, right, is the general use.
yeah,
So
no, it could
it
be.
seems to me somewhere in the printing process, it would be useful. Not to point our finger at them, but I mean, yeah, we gotta look at this.
Are there fingerprints like this for residential septic tanks?
Not at the moment
Let's-
that I'm aware of, but this is the kind of thing you can develop and then work forward with.
So I want to talk about the septic system thing for a second, segue. And so, when Tom was here, Cambreri, we did talk about this, and he did agree that he thought septics could be a source, given all the household stuff. We have something on the agenda here, we've been talking about doing an outreach thing to our residents to see if they're interested in keeping the stuff out of the wastewater and keeping it off their bodies too, maybe. So we have something to review there. I had also, and I can't remember if we talked about this, but I reached out to the people at the Marshall Clean Water Coalition and Mass Tech to see if we could sample what the septic systems over at Schuyl's Pond. Because they have septics that they've upgraded, and they have sampling ports, et cetera. And I got agreement from Mass Tech, I got agreement from John Smith on the Clean 2 system, because it's his system, and so everybody's fine with it. So we could go sample, and my idea was to sample each of the 12 or 13 systems and then do a composite. So we're only sending, we do it for the 13 septic system tanks, and then we also do it at the end of the treatment. So we send up 2 samples to the lab, composite. That way we're not pointing our finger at any one homeowner. That was one maybe concern. That's why we did, so what my theory is, I just want to get some reaction to this. This might give us an answer to the question, does this show up in septic systems on Cape Cod? We sampled 13 of them, and then the other question would be, is it possible a wood chip bioreactor system might provide some treatment? So I wanted to see if people thought this was a good idea to pursue.
How similar is the wood chip treatment system to carbon filtration?
Not very, except they both have carbon in them, if you want
They're
to.
both, yeah, they're both the carbon-based treatment. The wood chip system is to provide carbon to feed the bacteria to eat the nitrogen. So it's different. You'll gather some PFAS on that wood chip, but not all the PFAS is actually hitting the wood and sticking like it is in a very fine filter.
Keep in mind that my primary purpose of proposing this is to first find out, do septic systems have measurable concentration? Because that's our major source in our wellhead areas, or septic systems. So nobody's been able to show me any sampling of them on the Cape that they generate. You even said you're not sure, right? I
Well,
mean,
there is a Silent Spring Institute study on the Cape, on
well,
anthropogenic PFAS contributions from septic.
but that's in the wells, right?
Yeah, that's
Private wells, so they're again, presuming it's coming from septics. My thought is we have sampling ports all set up. They're willing to let us do it. The cost of doing 2 composite samples is not that bad. It wouldn't be a definitive study, but it would be an
A
interesting.
good start.
So they have two ports because they're trying to measure nitrogen.
Yeah, that's why they have it all set
But
up.
you could use the same port.
Yes.
Study PFAS.
Exactly, that's what I'm suggesting. So you guys think this is and again, it's not, my feeling won't be hurt if we say no. I'm just thinking.
So we're already, I mean, the cost of these PFAS tests.
What's it cost?
Free
I'm
something.
just concerned, if you're talking about us spending money to do it, I'm concerned about spending money in the town for a study.
Different district.
Different district.
Yeah, different district, you know, and I don't know what the legality is there. If we're not doing work we're using the district money to do work that's not in the district.
We get the Barnstable Clean Water.
I'm not opposed to, you know, to finding out and everything else. I'm just wondering, there might be a question for Mark.
This seems
With roads,
it's,
you know, all of a sudden we find stuff. there.
how much money we talking about? Let's keep us.
Oh, like
$350
$250 now?
We've been paying something or more.
And that's for the 31 list?
Yeah,
300 something?
yeah.
I think our last.
You know,
How many have we done on our one? Like,
What's you see there, they say what we've done.
and so what's our schedule now? How often will we continue to do?
I'll have to look at the schedule again, but I think I'm scheduled every quarter to do one this year, whether it's,
So we'll do 4 at this time. Okay.
yeah.
When is-
Yeah,
And it's like $50.
I was gonna.
for each station.
For each state.
Yeah.
So it's gonna cost us $1,500.
Yeah, we already have budgeted for that, yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah, that's my concern. I don't think we have enough data set. Ourselves. Particularly when I look at the 1/24 in 2022.
You mean you're suggesting doing more testing on our well?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, just,
and the monitoring.
yeah, just to see what the trend is, because
Okay.
that seems, yeah.
Well, you know, okay, so I'm gonna. This is my last chairman meeting, so I'm gonna push a little bit here. You know, I think this is the most important issue we have. I mean, think about it. I mean, this is stuff is scary. And we have it, it's at a low level in the well. One of them is up to what, 6 parts per milligram.
Right, yeah, right now we have no detections.
Right now we have none,
Yeah, right now we have not.
but we have a history in station 1.
Yeah, we
One,
have
3, 4 violations these were extended.
Yeah.
So,
That's the first test we did. The last one is the bottom on it goes down and starts again on the other side of the down. The bottom right. There, that's the last detector we just did.
Right, but we've had them in the past.
Yes, that's back to, what is it, 21?
So why would we have had Are you suggesting?
It's either gone by, it could have been coming in and gone by, it could be.
So we only, sorry for, we only have one round.
You know what my theory right now is that we're pumping a lot less water, so we might not be pulling it in from someplace else.
Could be. Interesting. But we only have one round, it's hard to check. Every other round is done, one.
Correct, there's gonna be another round in
Six rounds.
next month starts the next round, so I gotta go by what we asked them to do. So I gotta do their round, we're doing it twice every 3
Well, I
days.
think you can do more than what he wants us to do.
Why don't, if we do, you and I go talk to Mark Clean Water. I got a little bit there.
Okay.
Also,
Well,
the federal requirements for testing are gonna increase some of this.
Yeah.
EPA requirements with the new rule.
All right, so why don't we propose this, and let's start, Mark and I will talk to the Clean Water Coalition about that. Let's send the data to Mark, if you want to take a peek at it, just the fingerprinting thing, I'd like to know if that's
I'll
possible.
look in there, I'll wait and see if I have the result. I know I have what, Colin gave me, I don't know if I have result sheets.
All right,
Then you got, if I do, I'll send that along with it from the test well.
all right,
So you can compare that fingerprint to 4 and 1.
all right, now when Tom's back, let's talk to him, and
Yep.
I think you're right, let's get him, we need to have him come back in again for a couple of purposes, right?
Yeah, you know, if you're looking to find out a little more on this. Maybe we can put another test well someplace.
Maybe.
See if it's coming from a different area, because they didn't have anything over on Newtown Road.
Well, let's get advice from Tom on that, he's been looking at the.
Something to match groups.
Yeah, and then, yeah, which well is showing it? The
4
1 and 4, oh yeah, 1 and 4, right, yeah.
I think we've done it 3 a couple times, but there was well here.
Yeah, the one's the new well, right? Right, yeah. Let's get Tom's advice. All right, let's,
He's calling it. Is it him calling? Yes. That's weird that it comes out all the time.
That's why I wondered, that one January one.
He's been secretly listening.
We got 4 hits.
No, it's on, no,
5
it's on.
crystal clear. to all the way.
We're not broadcasting live, but the one person we had dropped
And then all of a
off.
sudden.
all right, we're good. Bring that meeting back.
Good job.
Like, I live.
Let's go back, let's keep it one conversation going here. All right, I think we're done with this, we got an action, you're gonna share the data with Mark, we're gonna get Tom.
Yeah,
Let me talk.
Yep.
I think that's fine for now, you and I can talk to Coalition, so let's just further our PFAS, let's move on.
Okay,
Thank you again.
sure.
And please stick with us if you want, we'll likely to need you again in a few minutes. Let's see, next item, source water protection, so I had. Jen drafted an outreach pamphlet to residents to inform them about PFAS. I had the students look at it and ask some stuff, you both provided comments back to them, which was I don't have a vision yet, I just want to see it, I want to ask if what your thoughts are about next steps, the intent here is maybe, and I should also add, I think Jen, correct me if I'm wrong, but you put something, where did you put it? No, you put your put a notice in the currents, to a currents, when does that come out, in July?
Yeah,
So there will be a little more thing on PFAS that you guys saw, I wrote it, and it directs anybody interested in more information on this, gets it on the Jen. So that's where we're at, that's the status. I just want to kind of get feedback from you guys on what you think about this. Do we want to continue this? You know, the idea about reaching out to residents about informing them about PFAS as a source.
Yes, but not that flyer that I saw.
I know, okay.
Yeah, that flyer, but with some hard facts, that we're in compliance now. But that the EPA has lowered limits, and that means that we're, coming up to thresholds.
Okay,
And that if there's concern, we should give them probably some options other than the environmental working groups.
Yeah.
Right now, it's doing is scaring people without giving them the alternatives other than don't eat strawberries.
Well, one might be if you're really concerned if you're a pregnant mother, and you're, we can't, we should not be putting any health assurances on these other than to say that we're in compliance with regulations to the extent. If someone's highly concerned, we should be able to say, you could use an active charcoal filter at the tap. That will reduce your best. But I think going into this products to be a slippery slope.
Yeah, it could, but I know there was that program at URI that's to have handled that I gave you the information to investigate. Apparently nobody did.
No, they're gonna take it on.
But I think that, yeah, and you know, I get a flyer in the mail. I should be concerned about PFAS. It's showing tap water as a source of contamination because that's what the flyer said to me. In addition to, you know, raincoats and everything else. What do I do? Nothing in there for me to do.
Stop drinking.
Call Jen.
Well, I think the intent was to think about product substitution.
But you can't
Information
substitute if you don't know what to substitute for.
Well, that's what
You
I'm
can say toilet paper has it, which ones? I don't know.
Well, in one of the articles that they saw, and I think I sent around, did get into different products. Different products, I thought.
Not types of products. I mean, it types of products, but not brand names.
I thought.
And maybe nobody in the government wants to put brand names out there because they don't want to be endorsing brand names.
All right,
But,
well, why don't,
but there's no point in telling people to be afraid of toilet paper.
okay, I agree, let me,
That's unless you're gonna give them another option, and they're not going back to leaves.
all right, well, let me, I did send upon us to the students, let's see if they respond, and I'll try to bring this back next month if there's a change, but. I just want
Yes,
to.
yes, we should be giving them information.
Okay.
What they can do about it is the information that I would want as. a concern.
Yes,
And not just that I should be scared of everything in my house.
all right,
That's not information that's useful.
let's move on to new business. Follow-up items, special district meeting. Who's addressing?
So the only
Oh,
thing that I have for a follow-up to the annual district meeting is we,
Excellent letter.
put the letter together
That's fine.
for bids. The only thing that's left hanging out there is the July date for our meeting. They sent an email this morning. I'm on vacation when we would normally meet in July. So once we settle on a new, a July meeting date, I can update that.
with the invite to come.
With an invite to come, I did attach a attestment from the clerk that Article 24 passed, as well as the enabling legislation.
Okay, so what's the normal July meeting?
17th, and that's a bad week for me too.
Okay,
I'm good the following,
yep,
you good the week of the 8th.
Let's do the 24th. Yourselves a very good break.
24th works for me.
yes. Okay. Okay, so the 24th will be our next meeting, chaired by Commissioner Churbuck.
Iron fist.
I think he will.
Bring some efficiency to this operation.
All right, next item, historical contaminant treatment plan.
Oh, wait, backing up, annual district meeting.
Okay. Yes,
Should we talk about, if we're sending off the letter, to Representative Diggs?
Yep.
Asking him to get going. Should we have a working, should we contemplate a special working meeting? With all parties involved to understand the process?
get the legislation.
Like, yeah, Mark was up. Are we gonna be, are we gonna have to?
It's not,
I'm concerned that when I look at the committee structure up in Beacon Hill, this hits municipalities and local. Every bill I see in front of them, presentation, do we have to like get ready to go up and this in the case? Or is this language gonna be enough for?
it's a home rule petition. It doesn't cost the state. It's not creating precedents with other people gonna be concerned about.
He just told me, he came to my house, he told me that this would be easy to get through, but he wanted to make sure to get consensus.
Okay.
So we got the consensus. But maybe you and I can talk.
You really don't think it says a precedent? It's a pretty significant precedent.
It's not, nobody's gonna pick up.
No, no,
Nobody even knows it's there.
all right. Fair.
You know, I mean, bills like this get passed all the time. It's,
Yeah.
you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
But the procedure would be, and I don't even know the time, or if they're in session. But would we, in theory, come back at the next annual district meeting in next May and ask the fire district to accept?
I don't think we need to. I think that it goes to the legislature. If they pass it, it becomes state law.
We don't, because
We don't need, we already got.
So if we get the two-thirds
Oh,
bylaw
yeah.
approval
Oh, yeah.
this
We
year,
got,
it's just a,
or something.
the, the state law is just an authority to give you.
We don't need the district. I mean, we got it. Big stuff, we should get it. There's no legal requirement to get the district to do. A vote.
They did it, this is a.
they did, they did.
Tell the
So,
Yeah.
rep to file a bill to create special legislation.
I just want to Fran comment on this. She did say that after that we need to vote now, which has been done here now, and to go to the state legislature. Then we need to come back.
That's what I
and be
remember.
final. That's all.
I don't understand
Yeah.
why.
And then,
I think I heard that she meant that it needs to come back when you're actually asking for money to do something with this
Yeah.
authority.
Yeah. That's
I don't
what-
know why the voters would have to ratify a home rule petition they've already voted. Make any sense?
I think they.
Maybe it's a question for the.
Yeah.
That's why.
There's an option in bylaw, but I don't know that enabling legislation gets adopted in bylaw.
And so I've never gone through one of these.
I mean, if the legislature approved something that was different than what we cast. Different story. You know,
The last time the water department.
let's do it step by step and just make sure he gets here first and then
So the
we'll
next
talk.
step is to send.
Two thousand, so.
So let's send a letter. Let's talk to them and see what happens. And David, you and I can talk. If you want me to continue with them, or if you want to do it as chair, that's fine with me.
No, please, please, please.
I'll be draft on first.
All right. Let's move on.
I think I have one quick thing on that, also the land purchase. Kelly, is it?
Kelly Grant.
Meet with the 20th and everything, I did throw your name out. When I was talking to her, I said that you had done a lot of the work for Lowell Park. And that she wanted to talk to you at all about some of the stuff that had to be done. I was more than welcome to give you your name and she says she knows what she can talk to, I believe.
All right, we've got three more items. Let's get to them. So historical contaminant treatment plant discussion.
You can defer that, can't we?
Defer that?
We got too much.
I just wanted to notify the other commissioners, I want to work with Jen to do an analysis of the contaminant industry to see what the trend lines look like, because by my initial analysis, everything's flat. And I want to know why a former Board of Water Commissioner used to put a very expensive water treatment plant on the capital budget. What spooked him?
Well, I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, it was iron and manganese initially, right? And I suggested that could be related to the wetland pumping off and well, four is the one showing us, so I'm gonna stick with my theory that we might be able to avoid that.
Yeah, exactly. And with some big capital expenses facing the
Yeah.
district, it'd be nice to
Yeah.
get that out of the wings, and at least
Yeah.
try to come up with a forecast. If there
Yeah.
is a trend that we're headed towards violation, what is it gonna be? I don't know what I'm with. Seems to me PFAS is the one that's gonna
Yeah,
give us the big.
I think your suggestion of working with John on.
And she already do it, she took a leap on it already by getting DC smart, so it's more of that.
Okay. Water Department financials, David and Jen.
I don't know what that's about, other than just having a better sense when we get beaten up by the Prudential Committee, because we seem to always be out of sync with them. In terms of our revenue recognition and their projections.
Projections on revenue and stuff.
Yeah, usually background.
Well, that's why I was suggesting earlier, we're saving, we're pumping less water, that's a good thing. But as some of our potential critics said originally with this, you're gonna go out of business, you're not gonna have revenue. You raise their water rates, so maybe when would you have enough data to give us a projection?
January.
No, your bills go out in June,
So I will, like,
yeah.
24 is done pretty much with revenue.
When's our next billing?
The next billing is mid-July, that's
Yeah.
January to June usage. at the old rates, they're not the new rates that we increased in April.
January is gonna capture the summer.
Right, well, it's such a delay, huh?
6 months. The only other thing to add on that is, I have been sending Dave, the snapshot of our expenditures after we do the warrant weekly. It used to be part of the package. It depends on whether or not you have interest in doing expenses more frequently. Sometimes the assistant treasurer sends out the expenditure reports, but not everybody is CC'd on them, so just want to know if you wanted to change to the visibility on the expenditure side of things. To let me know and I'll include it in the packets. Otherwise, I'm just.
I don't see it every month.
I don't think so. Yeah. But why don't you think about how and if we could get a projection before the end of the year? You don't know the water, well, we do know the water pumping. Can we?
No, you don't know, maybe one person doing 1 million gallons.
That's true.
People.
Well, what if,
$4.
how about this, what if? Actually, let me postpone this.
Yeah, good. Let's do it.
Let's move on. Lien list, Jen.
So in early May, I sent it in your packet is the lien list as of the 3rd of 24. We started with 37 accounts in the neighborhood of $25,000. We have collected around 10, with 17,000 still outstanding. It's just on our list, on our agenda to say that we reviewed it at this meeting because our letter states Water Commissioners has reviewed the lien list. I'll be sending out another round in June. And then we'll bring the final lien list to the August meeting for you to sign off on the warrant that goes to the town for the tax assessment. I have one note on the lien list. The customer at the end of Main Street that we talked about a leak adjustment for, if he puts in an irrigation well, has installed the well. He's waiting for the plumber to come do the cut over. And he has paid the balance over and above the amount of adjustment we agreed to provide. He did this, so all of that is in good standing. I'm waiting on the final confirmation, and I will be letting you know when we're going to adjust.
Is this a typical amount, isn't it? 25,000?
It's high, but normally by the time we're done, we're around between 9,000 and 14,000, and we're already at 17, and I anticipate we'll get some payments between.
So we don't have to take any action tonight.
No, just to say that.
I'm gonna defer the review approval of minutes till the next meeting, and I'm just gonna ask if there are any matters not anticipated by the chair or any additional public comment. And then I'll ask for a motion for good.
So move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Bingo.